But tell me, man, why do you believe that Jay and Puffy is close, even though Jay lawyer came out and said they're not?
Because Jay-Z and Puff was given an assignment.
See, there's no artist, let me be clear, there's no artist in this industry that's doing major numbers with these platforms that haven't sold their songs.
What if the most influential names in hip-hop were locked in a dangerous game of secrets, betrayal, and power moves? Gene Deal, Diddy's longtime bodyguard turned whistleblower, has dropped a bombshell that shakes the foundation of everything we thought we knew about the golden age of rap royalty. He claims Jay-Z wasn't just standing by as his rival stumbled, he was holding something so dangerous, so devastating, that it forced Diddy into silence. The story, as Deal lays it out, paints Jay not only as a business mogul with a flawless poker face, but as a master strategist who knew exactly how to play the darkest cards in his deck. What was this evidence? And how far would Jay-Z go to protect it, or to wield it like a weapon against the man who once threatened his throne?
Jay-Z got his whooped by his sister-in-law on camera. What's her name? Solange. You got it answer. The feds ain't step in and do nothing. The feds don't care about you getting your whooped.
So Deal's revelation forces us to revisit a chilling moment in time. A party in 1996, a night that has lived more in whispers than in headlines. The room was buzzing with stars, with laughter, with the kind of swagger that made the 90s burn hot. But somewhere in that haze of sparkling bottles and diamond chains, a camera may have been rolling. Some say it caught more than fun and mischief. Some say it captured the shadows of a meeting that tied Diddy directly to the plot that ended Shakur's life in Las Vegas. Was it the image of a hushed deal between rivals, a flash of rage in the wrong direction? Or something more damning, a visual link between Puffy, as he was then known, and the $1 million bounty whispered about by Southside Crip insiders? In a world where one clip can rewrite history, the idea that such a tape existed in Jay-Z's vault is enough to explain why a mogul as powerful as Diddy would shrink into silence.
And I'm not saying allegedly.
Oh.
I'm saying, Sean Carter, you're a piece of shit. Taking Pimp C wasn't bad enough. You just want to go down there and you want to just remove all of the balls from every real gangster in Houston.
You don't have to imagine too hard. Court papers from Las Vegas now detail how Diddy's name surfaced 47 times in a secret police interview, with Keefe D alleging Puffy was ready to spend millions to see Shakur and Suge Knight taken out after that fiery diss track hit M up. The words, "I'll give anything for that dude head," leap off the transcript like a curse. Pair that with the rumor of footage from that 1996 party, footage that Jay-Z allegedly possessed, and suddenly, Deal's claim doesn't sound like idle gossip. If Jay truly had his hands on such material, then he wasn't just a rapper climbing charts. He was the man holding the detonator in an industry already laced with explosives. Now here's where the story takes its most intriguing turn. Just months ago, Jay-Z himself was staring down headlines after a lawsuit named him alongside Diddy in one of the ugliest accusations possible. The case made waves, naming him outright, and then, just as quickly, it vanished. The plaintiff withdrew, statements were recanted, and suddenly the entire affair dissolved like smoke. Coincidence? Or could this be another move on the same chessboard, another reminder that in the rarefied air Jay breathes, inconvenient threats are neutralized before they take their first gasp? It is impossible not to notice how this mirrored the whispers of Deal's story. Evidence appears, pressure mounts, and then silence. The question lingers in the void. Who is pulling the strings? And who's being forced to dance? To understand the magnitude of these claims, we have to step back and see the empire Jay-Z built. From the Marcy projects to the Forbes list, he has operated like a man who not only anticipates the storm, but positions himself to profit from it. He once admitted that his days hustling crack in Brooklyn taught him everything he needed to run a business empire. Budgets, risks, exit strategies. And if he applied that cold precision to the world of secrets and leverage, then imagine how much more dangerous he could be with the right tape, the right file, the right whisper to the right agent. That's why the rumor of the FBI blackmail files refuses to fade away. Some insiders claim Jay wasn't just safeguarding himself with evidence against Diddy. He may have quietly fed portions of it to federal authorities, ensuring that while Diddy's world collapsed in raids, indictments, and shocking human trafficking allegations, Jay himself stood untouchable at the summit. Consider the timing. Federal raids on Diddy's mansions turned up weapons, substances, and stockpiles of bizarre paraphernalia, feeding a media circus that painted him as an East Coast R. Kelly. Cassie Ventura's testimony about humiliating freak-offs in hotel suites broke open the private horror of his relationships. Every new headline turned the screws tighter, while Jay-Z floated above it all, still celebrated on red carpets, still the subject of billion-dollar business profiles. Was that luck, or was it leverage? The kind of leverage that comes from handing the right folder to the right agent in the Southern District of New York?
They once worked together a long time ago. They're not friends now. They don't like each other. And yeah, 50 has taken every shot, especially when Diddy has been down.
Gene Deal's words force us to see these events not as random scandals, but as the fallout of a power struggle that began decades ago. Diddy, the charismatic mogul who made Bad Boy a household name, now in chains, facing the possibility of life behind bars. Jay-Z, once dismissed as a hustler with good rhymes, now the richest musician in the world, untouched by the flames that engulf everyone around him. The balance of that story shifts when we consider the idea that Jay held the ace card all along. Footage, files, confessions, whatever form it took, that tied Diddy to the darkest night in hip-hop history. It becomes not just a story of survival, but of calculated destruction. And here is the most chilling thought of all. If Jay-Z played this card once against the most flamboyant rival of his era, what's to stop him from doing it again? How many other tapes, files, and secrets sit in vaults, ready to be deployed when a new threat rises? In an industry built on alliances that dissolve overnight and loyalty that rarely outlives the next album cycle, leverage is the only true currency. We are left staring at the possibility that Jay-Z has always known this. That his genius was not just in beats and bars, but in holding the receipts that others feared might surface. And if those rumors of the FBI blackmail files are real, then it means every scandal we've seen may only be the beginning of a much larger, from allies to enemies, the transformation of Jay-Z and Diddy's relationship is one of the most mysterious unravelings in modern music history. Once photographed side by side, trading verses, trading bottles, and celebrating wins at the top of the charts, they projected an image of unstoppable partnership. They were the kings of New York, the duo who turned street hustle into boardroom dominance. But behind the flashbulbs, paranoia was quietly setting in. Two moguls of equal ambition, both sitting on secrets that could dismantle the other. It was only a matter of time before that bond cracked. When whispers of blackmail and damning footage entered the picture, the glamorous friendship began to look less like an alliance and more like a standoff at high noon. The tension was palpable, and the industry felt it. Collaborations thinned, public appearances grew strained, and insiders began to ask who was watching their back and who was quietly sharpening the knife.
They needed to show that there was an agreement, that the organization knew what it was doing, that it was an enterprise, not in law, but in fact, that people understood the object of the enterprise, which was to promote Sean Combs and his brands and sort of fulfill any deviant desires he may have had, and then to cover up any crimes committed over the course of fulfilling the desires.
We have to remember that hip-hop in the 90s wasn't just about beats and rhymes. It was a battlefield where labels doubled as armies. When one titan fell, the shockwaves rolled across everyone from A-list stars to street-level protégés. Diddy's mounting legal disasters didn't just scorch his name, they singed anyone still standing close to him. And yet Jay-Z remained untouched, his empire somehow expanding even as the feds raided Diddy's mansions, and Cassie Ventura's testimony painted lurid images of freak-offs and coercion. This wasn't just bad luck for one man and good fortune for another, it looked like a calculated shift in balance, the moment when the old guard was quietly being dismantled to clear the stage for a new, more ruthless king. That brings us back to the party in 1996, the night where the whispers say everything began to unravel. The gathering has gone down in gossip history as ordinary, a night of flashing lights and big names. But what if the truth is darker? Some claim there were cameras set up to catch Diddy in moments he never thought would see the light of day. If the footage tied him even remotely to the violence that ended Shakur's life, it would explain why no one has ever dared to bring it forward. Was it loyalty that sealed those lips? Fear of retaliation? Or something more chilling? Pressure applied behind the scenes to ensure silence. Witnesses who may have seen the real have never spoken publicly, and those who were rumored to know more seem to vanish into the background. The question lingers like smoke. Who else is guarding these secrets, and what would it take for them to finally speak?
Charge. And a lot of people saying it's square peg, round hole, that we know that there are multiple jurors on both sides. It's not just one holdout, that on racketeering, they are stuck. But they have reached a decision on trafficking as it results with...
We can't ignore how neatly the timeline folds into itself. The 1996 whispers, the mysterious footage, the sudden resurfacing of accusations against Diddy in official filings decades later, his name dropped 47 times in a covert police interview. And the perfectly timed collapse of lawsuits against Jay-Z just when it looked like his own empire might be threatened. It is almost as though the past, buried for years, has been clawing its way back into the spotlight, one allegation at a time. The feds have already shown they are willing to pry open every corner of Diddy's empire, raiding homes, seizing files, and even collaborating with Shakur prosecutors. If Jay-Z did hand over pieces of the puzzle to them, then Diddy's downfall may not be coincidence at all, but the endgame of a strategy decades in the making.
I'm sorry, I'm just like really, I'm in this moment right now. This is crazy. Sorry. People don't really know how much what it does to you when something that you love is taken from you and thrown away like it don't even matter, and then they move on with their lives and you're stuck. You're stuck. During those years, you're still stuck 21 years later.
The idea that Jay-Z and Diddy were simply rivals fighting a private war makes for a dramatic tale on its own. But what if the truth is even bigger, stretching beyond the control of either man? For decades, the FBI has been accused of keeping close watch on the hip-hop industry, treating it not just as entertainment, but as a cultural machine with money, influence, and street ties that spill into politics. From surveillance files on Shakur and Biggie to whispered reports of agents attending industry parties undercover, the pattern has always suggested a government more invested in hip-hop's power than it ever admitted. If Jay-Z and Diddy really were playing a dangerous game, perhaps they weren't playing it alone. Perhaps they were pawns in something much larger. Consider how the leaks against Diddy seemed to emerge in carefully timed bursts. Secret interviews surfaced, damning transcripts hit court filings, and federal raids were conducted with almost theatrical precision. These weren't the messy breaks of random luck. They looked like moves orchestrated to humiliate him, to erode his image piece by piece until no one dared defend him. Could this have been part of a longer campaign by federal authorities to dismantle an empire they saw as dangerous? And if so, did Jay-Z benefit simply by being in the right place at the right time? Or did he knowingly align himself with the power that always wins in the end?
Well, the things that I experienced with him were monster-like. That stuff almost destroyed my life.
This theory gains traction when we think about how the lawsuits aimed at Jay-Z vanished into thin air. In the heat of Diddy's implosion, Jay's name briefly surfaced in headlines that could have rocked his reputation. Then suddenly, the noise stopped. Plaintiffs withdrew, statements evaporated, and the legal storm clouds drifted away as quickly as they had gathered. Was this a stroke of luck, or the result of leverage that only a deeper alliance with federal power could provide? If Diddy was being boxed in, perhaps Jay was being shielded, not because of innocence, but because his role served a bigger picture. The FBI has a long, ugly history of using high-profile figures as both targets and tools. The days of COINTELPRO may seem like distant history, but the methods, divide and conquer, strategic leaks, controlled narratives, are tactics that never really disappear. Imagine how valuable it would be for authorities to pit two of the biggest moguls in music against each other. By amplifying suspicion and feeding leaks to the press, they could weaken both men's networks while avoiding the appearance of direct control. If this was the strategy, it worked brilliantly. Diddy is facing the fight of his life in a federal courtroom, and Jay-Z has been drawn into a web of speculation that could follow him for years.
Unfortunately, we're all going to take a disgusting trip to his seedy, awful world. You know, the man has no class. He has no kindness in his dark, dark heart. And he's depraved. That's my opinion. This is a depraved, disgusting individual about whom I wish to hear nothing after this trial is done.
Even more chilling is the possibility that both men underestimated just how closely they were being watched. Every party, every deal, every whisper about tapes or blackmail might not have been secrets held in private vaults, but files already documented in federal archives. When insiders refer to blackmail files, maybe they're not only talking about what Jay-Z held on Diddy. Maybe they're talking about something far larger. Dossiers compiled by agents who've been pulling strings for decades, waiting for the perfect moment to use them. The moguls thought they were playing chess with each other, but what if they were pieces on a board controlled by someone else entirely?
Trying to find her, and her attorney has said that she may not be willing to come and testify anyway, so we'll
Be
see.
interesting. Okay, we're moving on.
That perspective changes everything. It reframes Jay-Z not just as a possible mastermind, but as a survivor navigating forces beyond his control. It reframes Diddy not just as a man undone by his own excess, but as someone systematically dismantled when his empire grew too loud, too powerful, too threatening to be ignored. If the FBI really has been orchestrating this drama all along, then the fall of one mogul and the survival of another may not be about secrets and private vaults. It may be about who cooperated, who resisted, and who was sacrificed to send a message. And in that light, the true story of this saga may be darker than anything we've imagined so far. Industry veterans have floated an even darker possibility: the so-called secret extortion deal. Imagine if Jay-Z wasn't only holding the evidence over Diddy's head, but using it as a bargaining chip, extracting silence, influence, and even business concessions. That would mean every major victory Jay claimed in the years after could have come not just from talent and hustle, but from systematically dismantling his greatest rival from the inside. It paints Jay as not just a mogul, but a tactician who knew that to build the world's most powerful hip-hop empire, he had to neutralize the one man who stood in his way. Was that what Gene Deal was hinting at all along? That this wasn't just a rivalry, it was a silent war fought with tapes, files, and fear?
Possibly, you know, it's the federal government building a case against you. Maybe you would go for the lesser offer, but again, that would be having to admit that he had did something wrong. And the defense has always maintained that he is innocent, he has done nothing wrong, that this is just, these are just ex-girlfriends that are mad at, like just all these types of things that the defense is arguing. But again,
if that is true, then we have to ask ourselves the hardest question of all. What happens when the pursuit of power goes so far that it leaves bodies in its wake? The world of hip-hop has always thrived on bravado and survival, but when survival depends on silencing rivals, the cost becomes chilling. We are standing at a moment where the past and the present are colliding, old secrets resurfacing just as federal agents tighten the noose. And yet, for all the speculation, only a handful of people truly know what was captured that night in 1996, and whether it was strong enough to change the course of music history forever.
I think if that's all they got, if that, like for example with Diddy, if that's all they got, he might actually walk free. And in fact, I heard he's getting bail. I'm not 100% sure of this, but I know someone that knows someone in the feds that told him that he's getting bail.
The only thing about Diddy thing that has me scratching my head, and I don't doubt nothing they know how to do, is I've never seen a one-man RICO.
Right.
So here's the question we're left with. Was Jay-Z the ultimate strategist who outplayed his rivals? Or is he still sitting on secrets that could one day explode and pull him down too? We may finally be on the edge of the truth, but will it come in time? Or will the music industry's most powerful players manage to bury it once again? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the tapes are real or just another myth designed to keep us hooked? Until next time, stay sharp, stay watching, and remember, in this game, nothing is ever what it seems.